Hey guys, the other day a friend of mine asked me about the responsiveness of EQ plugins. So he said he felt Fabfilter Pro Q3 seems to react a little bit slower than the built-in EQ plugin of Steinberg Cubase on Windows, which is called Frequency. And I thought I'd make a little video and show you the results and explain you what I did. So let's have a look. Okay, so what did I do here? I have basically two tracks with white noise, one here and one here. And in these I have, in the first one with the white noise, I put a Fabfilter Pro Q3 plugin, and in the other one the Frequency 2 plugin, and I made the settings exactly the same. So let me switch to the other screen so you can see. Here we got Pro Q3 with a center frequency of 1000, a Q of 1 at 0 dB. And in frequency we have basically the same, 1000 Hertz, Q of 1, and the gain at 0 dB. And if I switch back to the other screen, you will see that there is an automation lane where I basically automate the gain of both EQs. So here, immediate bump to plus 20 dB, and then back to 0 dB, and one more time, and back to 0 dB. And the same here. So I really want to have this kind of immediate change, so we can have a look at the reaction. Yeah. So let's give it a listen once. I hope it's not too loud, this kind of white noise, but you will hear it immediately what happens. Yeah. And then I basically bounced or recorded. I did not bounce like with the right click and render in place. Instead, I really bounced it. I sent these tracks to an output of my audio interface. I create a loopback, and from that loopback, you can even see that if I switch the screen back to screen number 2. Here, these two tracks, one goes to loopback 1, the other one to loopback 2. And then on these two channels, I get it back from the according loopback inputs. Yeah, so I just recorded that. And if we just quickly have a look at this, these two plugins, if I move the cursor somewhere where the gain changes, you will see that it shows. Yeah, so it jumps from 0 to 1 or to plus 20 dB, and then it jumps back to 0 dB. And that's basically what I recorded. Back to the other screen, and here we can see the results and the bumps. And if we have a closer look here, you will see that roughly until here, oops, sorry, let me take the cursor, and until here, signal is normal. Of course, we have round trip latency, which is relatively small, but still it's there. So the bump actually happens here at exactly 1 second. Let me just look for the snap to grid. Should snap to grid. Yeah. Exactly 1 second I have made the bump, plus 20 dB. And the signal in the recorded file, basically kind of round trip, actually starts to change for Pro Q3 about 7 milliseconds in. Yeah, and for frequency, it starts to change about 9 milliseconds in. So it's like 2 milliseconds slower. Frequency, or frequency 2, I should say, is like 2 milliseconds slower than Fabfilter Pro Q3. So there we have it. And one more interesting thing that I found is that once we have a look at the end where we jump back from plus 20 dB to 0 dB, it's kind of interesting to see that basically the Fabfilter Pro Q3 goes back to regular white noise a little bit faster than frequency. That's quite a bit of a difference, yeah. I mean, it's just roughly now, but I would say if I look how it ramps down, I would say basically it switches off at exactly 2 seconds. And now just from watching the waveform, I would say roughly from around here, the waveform is normal again. And that's basically 16 milliseconds after I have switched it back to 0 dB. And if we look at the frequency waveform, I would say it's back to normal about here. So that's 28 milliseconds in. So this ramp down is, yeah, you can easily see that it's slower than with Fabfilter Pro Q3. That's all I wanted to show and kind of show how I did that test. It's always helpful to have access to loopbacks so you can do actual recording, so we don't rely and trust basically the internal calculation. That might be different. I really want to do it with audio signal so we get the real results. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.